show, we have two guests who have made their mark in footballing history. 31-year-old identical twin Amar and Arjun Purewal have made history lining up against each other in May at the Wembley Stadium. Amar led the Lions from Hebron Town with Arjun as captain, making them the first pair of identical twins from a Sikh background to play in a major Wembley final. Introducing the two twins on the show today, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Have made history at the Wembley. How does that make you guys feel?
Yeah, it's really proud. Something that it's once in a lifetime thing that we've kind of achieved. You never think that you can even play at Wembley, let alone play against your twins. So it's been brilliant. The publicity we've had from it's been excellent as well. So hopefully now we can just carry on achieving things and making everyone proud.
Fantastic. I mean, what's your next step forward? I mean, is there any? Can you get any bigger than Wembley? Maybe the Champions League final.
I wish. We're at that stage now of our career or our lives where like we're 31, going to be 32. So professionals out of the game, but want to go and play as high as we can and stand around. And also we want to raise awareness for Sikhs as well to get themselves out there and play as well. For us personally, we want to be out there and making a difference to Sikhs, and why not getting sponsorships of sportswear companies and endorsing things that's good in the world, because you don't see many Asians around the world or we're in this country doing it, and we think we've got a perfect opportunity with us being twins, a unique opportunity to sort of make our mark on that industry as well.
100%, 100%. And also, you mentioned you're 31 years old, but that's not even too much of a too old age. I mean, look at Ronaldo, Messi. They're like in the late 30s and they're still killing the game right now. So don't put yourself down too much. So why football and why not any other sporting activity? I mean, we're quite good at hockey. We're quite good at cricket. Basketball. We're starting to make a name for ourselves. So why football out of all the sports?
I think it was just one of them things when we were kids. I think ever since we could walk, we were kicking a football around. Our dad, he was really keen on us playing cricket as well, which we did from a young age. But I think it came down to playing football or cricket. We just naturally went and played football. I just think it was one of them things which he wanted us to play cricket so much, but we did both for years. But then I think eventually we just went down the football route because I think we were quite talented at it. And ever since then, we've just continued playing it. And, football's been good for us, and I think we can look to give back as well. I think that's really important.
For sure, 100%. I mean, being twins must have given you a slight bit of edge, slight bit of advantage at the younger age as well, because none of the opponents can really mark you guys because nobody knows who's who, right? So you got that bit of advantage right there.
Yeah, I suppose you do, yeah, but especially in the north up here in Sunderland, we were known as the Asian twins because there literally isn't any Asians, or there wasn't any back in the day. So yeah, we were sort of recognised in that way a little bit as well, which is great. And like I said, like you just said there, want to make a difference, want to give back, and I think it's a perfect opportunity to do so.
And you guys run a coaching academy. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, I mean, we run a sports coaching business up north where we run 10 infant and primary schools. It's not just predominantly football. We'll teach the whole curriculum in terms of PE from nursery to year 6. So you're teaching, like multi skills and basic moves from really young age to obviously as they get older, you teach them team sports and things like that. And in the holidays, we run big football camps where we get up to 80 odd kids a week and stuff like that. And it's quite successful, but we're not looking to stand still. We're always looking to improve and looking to build on it. And I think that's something we're really trying to push up here now. I think we're looking for new ways to move it on, and I think that's really important because you can't stand still in business or in life.
And what was the thought behind setting up the academy?
It was doing something that we enjoyed. We want to be professional footballers. Next best thing, if you can't do that, is to be a semi-professional footballer, which we're doing, and then is to do something you enjoy, because semi-professional you can't make the money that you want to be a professional to live off. So the coaching route is something that we wanted to do, and it sort of fits in perfectly with our life.
It's a nice lifestyle to have, to be a semi-professional as well, because it allows you to enjoy the sport that you enjoy playing, making a little bit of money, and also starting your own businesses and your own future investments too. So semi-professional is not too bad. It's not too bad depending on which football club you join, depending on what league you get in. All it just depends on scenario by scenario basis. Isn't that right?
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely right. It's about trying to be successful in no matter what level you play at. I think that's really important. I think that's something that we look to try and do when we play. Be successful what level you play at. But yeah, we've got a good lifestyle. We train when we can. We do our work, which is really important to us. And yeah, it's enjoyable. It's something that we enjoy. It's not really work for us. It's kind of stuff you go to when we do our coaching. We really enjoy it.
And talking about success, what are some of your proudest achievements?
We've got a lot of them really. I mean, setting up the business is a proud achievement. Definitely. Then you've got your football success. Scoring at Wembley was one of my favourites that I've got. Representing the Punjab in the World Cup in 2016 and finishing top goal scorer, that was a big success for me as well. And little things like don't seem that big, but like I had a knee operation in 2016 and was out for ages, but 18 months out and coming back and playing, that was a big thing for me.
Most definitely, most definitely. I mean, hey, as athletes, everybody gets their knocks, and you're talking about your knee injury. How long did it take for you to recover, and how hard was it to recover back from a knee injury like that?
Well, originally it was meant to be, I think it was scheduled as 8 months, 9 months to come back playing sport, but I think it ended up being out for 14 months, and I had 3 operations on it because a few complications. But it is what it is. It's very, very difficult because you come back and you try to do stuff that your body can't do or it's not ready for, and it's just about training yourself again and patience, and a lot of it comes into it. But like I said, I think it stands me in good stead now because the patience aspect is something that's definitely needed.
Most definitely. And 14 months is not a small amount of time. It's a very long stretch of period of time. 14 months, that's over a year of football that you haven't played. And just watching it always play and feel like, oh, I want to be on that pitch and make a difference. It's difficult, but it's all about having that patience, that mental strength going through that as well. For somebody watching from home who's gone through that kind of, pain or not being able to play any type of sports because of an injury, what the type of advice you would give them? What kind of mental strength advice would you give them at this type of moment?
If I could go back now and do it again, I would do something like read books, sort of stay off social media if possible, and try and be positive as you can. I think I slipped into a thing where I was just negative and everything was a negative and I saw no positives. So you've got to try and see positives. You've got to think it's happened for a reason, and I think when you start doing that, that's when you'll start having a better frame of mind, and then your recovery time sort of becomes quicker as well. I think this sort of, you can manifest sometimes in yourself that it's never going to get better, and when you do that, then you're on a slippery slope. So yeah, definitely read and think positive.
100%. And Arjun and Amal, if you guys were both on the FIFA game right now, what kind of ratings would you give yourself? A fair rating?
Probably, I'd say 70, 80s, I would say. To be fair, we don't play FIFA, so yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I know 100's been the best, right? So I'm thinking 100's the best, so I'm trying not to be too arrogant, because if it was up to me, I'd have myself at 100, but yeah, it's too high.
Obviously, this is not fantasy football, we're talking about FIFA here. So you're saying something in the 70, 80 range. What would be some of your traits, some of your special abilities in the game?
Probably leadership. I think I'm a good leader of obviously my team, being the captain, things like that, and I think I try and lead by example well. Determination, desire, just them things. Like I think I'm quite quick and good at heading the ball. I make myself sound like a world beater, but them are some of my strengths. Them are some of my strengths when I play football.
Arsenal and Chelsea might be watching this right now and might think, yeah, you know what, that lad, we might want to sign him up.
Bring me in as a defensive coach, that would be good.
I mean, you guys were talking about Coventry City Football Club. and you were brought up from that city from quite a young age, and that was your favorite football club, isn't it? That's the team you guys support. Would it be a dream to play for that team right now?
It'll always be a dream to play for Coventry. I mean, a massive club, and we love them. But you never know. You never know what the future holds. Like I said, but it would be a dream. Yeah, of course. We're massive fans.
Fantastic. And how do you manage bad behavior? I mean, in sporting, especially in sports and all different kind of sports, you tend to meet people, teammates who are not always having the best of behaviors. How would you manage that kind of bad behavior? And especially for yourself, sometimes you do get tempered at times, and that's natural for everybody. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who might be
I
in that
think
kind of phase?
I think it's really important to talk to teammates. Because everyone's different. You get different characters. Um, I think speaking to people, I think can help. Some people sometimes react better from, getting shouted at. Some people react better just having a chat, and some people react better when you don't even say anything to them. So it's dependent on the person and the character. I think in our line of work, working with children, I think you come across that a lot. So you've got to have different sort of behaviours to manage a group. I think that's the main aspect of it. You've got to make sure that the behaviour of an individual doesn't affect the group. So I think that's really important in itself. So that's a decision that's something that the manager has to do with. Luckily, not ourselves, but in our line of work, it's really important because if you don't have that discipline, then that you tend to lose control, which isn't very good.
Most definitely. And I'm sure it's a really important time for the kids too, because kids will be looking up to coaches like yourself, and the kind of examples that you guys are setting. If you guys are not setting the right examples, the kids will not have a bright future. So it's really important the work that you guys do and setting the right example and paving that path for the kids, because it's coaches like you guys that the kids will look up to and be like, you know what, I want to be someone like him in my future too. So definitely do keep it up. In your own footballing experience, who is the most underrated player you have ever played with or against?
We've played against we played in academies and we played against professionals who are now professionals. But like I said, I think I've answered before, and I've said my brother because he doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Like he said, he's talked about some of his qualities there, his leadership. It might not better be like the best technical player, but leadership and everything else sort of makes up for it. So definitely my brother.
Okay, that's a nice answer. How about you, Arjun? What would you say?
Yeah, I think I would probably say Amber as well. I think he got that bad knee injury, and I think before that bad knee injury, I think he was destined for a football league. So, I would definitely see him. I think that injury kind of, it set it back quite far, and you've got to recover from that mentally more than anything. And I think he's done a really good job to be playing the stand he's playing at now. So, big credit.
So you both are underrated. Hey, I'm also be underrated as well. I think I deserve a bit more recognition out here. Nice.
Tell your producer that.
What's really brilliant is that you guys are strikers and defenders. So Arjun is a defender and Amar is a striker. So I'm sure, like when you guys do have the time, you can practice against each other, striking formations, defensive formations, attack versus defense. I mean, it's a luxury to have within your family, isn't it?
We brought up, and I think that's how our love from football came. We went around the back of our house and we used to play against each other. And for example, that's why I probably became a striker. And you went in goal and you shoot at them and you save them and you try to think of ways you can score. So that's where it's probably originated from. And it's probably made us better having someone to practice with from such a young age than just by yourself. Because sometimes when you're by yourself, you switch off and you don't have that winning edge because you're just playing by yourself. So I think when we probably played against each other, a lot of it would have been trying to score against each other one-on-one, and you only get better by doing that with someone at a young age than training by yourself.
It's most definitely, and it really does kind of bring in the real football scenario, because when you train by yourself, it's nice, but in an actual football match, you're always playing against somebody else. So to have someone like yourself and like your brother to always play around with, and have those attack versus defense situations, have those rehearsal times, those practicing times, it really is a luxury to have. So any brothers out there or sisters, you don't spend much time together, please do, because it really helps in your own career and also just having that good quality time with your family too, right?
Definitely agree. Yeah, obviously we're best mates with bond, so and it definitely helps with your bonding as well. So.
And talking about, your footballing performances, and sometimes even just watching the kids that you coach too. Not everybody's on top form. Nobody's an elite striker, an elite defender at all times. I mean, look at Van Dijk. He can't be the best defender at all times. But what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's not on top form, or he's climbing off that kind of level? What kind of advice would you give them to kind of motivate them to get back on top shape?
First thing first, you've got to enjoy it. I think that's always the advice we give. Enjoy the game, because if you don't enjoy it, then you generally don't perform. And people going through bad times, you've got to try and talk them, and if they might have some views on why. I think it's important to talk as a player. Important to talk to the coach, but then you give. I think the genuine advice I would give is go back to what made you successful in the first place. So it might be, I don't know, it might be, say if it was a winger, it might be good at running at the fullback and trying to beat him and things like that, and you encourage them to do that again and express themselves. I think that's the best way to do it. I think shouting and obviously writing players off isn't the best way to go about it, because I think nowadays especially people react differently. But it's different back in the day where people could take criticism. I think it's changed now where it's more constructive and things like that. So I think you've got to be a bit more careful how you deal with things.
And what are the type of fitness regimes that you guys go through? Are there any certain workout routines that you guys do every day? Or is it like a special schedule you have every month and you have to do a set type of exercises for a certain month? What's your typical type of workout training schedule like?
We'll train Tuesday, Thursday with our football team. And then we'll play on Saturdays. So that leaves Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. So I think we'll try and go to the gym twice a week. And then the other days are just a cool down or walk or something like that. So we'll do one upper body session, one lower body session, and then 2 training sessions during the week, and then we'll have a Friday off, game on a Saturday, and then Sunday is normally just your rest day. If you might go on the bike for 20 minutes, but yeah, so it's quite active, and we eat healthy as well. You've got to look after your body when you get a certain age, so we eat healthy as well, and it's like your body is what you eat, really, isn't it? So if you're stuffing yourself with McDonald's every day, then you're obviously going to turn into a big McDonald's. So just depends what you eat, and as well that does help your recovery and stuff like that. So
I mean, it's evident you guys both haven't turned into McDonald's yet, so you guys are keeping up with your diet quite well. Nice, lovely. So you're talking about how you go to the gym twice a week, or you try to anyways. Going to the gym is not the same for a footballing athlete. You don't go there to do some bodybuilding exercises. It's quite different, isn't it? So what are the type of exercises that you guys do at the gym to kind of help perform in your footballing matches?
There's a lot of weights that you. So for example, there's body weight stuff. So you do pull-ups. You do dips. A lot of back stuff. So you don't sort of stand arched. You sort of upright. Core strength's big. A lot of planks, a lot of exercise that involved stability from your trunk, your stomach, and then the legs are important as well. So you're talking about your squats, your hamstring exercises, because at the end of the day, your legs are your tools. So you run about on a football pitch. If your legs don't work, then obviously you're not going to be the best. So you've got to look after your legs, even if it's just light weights, just to get your legs strong. You do that.
I mean, same situation with boxing as well. I mean, I remember Floyd Money Mayweather was talking about in an interview, like his hands are his money makers. That's the thing he uses to punch people up. So you got to look after your feet and your legs if you got to, get well high in the sport. So yeah, most definitely. So you guys talk about how often you guys train. Have you guys ever faced any racism or anything of that kind of nature throughout your careers?
Only maybe an incident or two where I think you've back in the day when we're probably in teenage years. I think I received one where I was playing in a college game. I had racial abuse from players on the opposite team, and it was not nice, because you go away from the game not even thinking about the game of football. You're just thinking about what happened on the pitch, which it's disgraceful really. But I think, to be fair, we're quite lucky we didn't receive much we didn't receive much at all. But I mean, that's the way it should be. You know, we shouldn't receive any really, but you're just going to get it now and again. And I think it's more prevalent now in football. I know they've got obviously some of the protests and things like that, but I think we're hearing a lot more incidents about it now, which isn't a good thing. So hopefully these campaigns and stuff, they keep coming out with campaigns and people keep following it, because you know, racism in society isn't acceptable in that man on the football pitch.
100%, 100%. And even talking about the recent cases where England have done so well in the Euro Cups, arriving all the way to the final since after like 55 years. And you know, even the three athletes who come from a black origin, from an African origin, they were treated really, really badly after the game, and when they lost in the game, and you know, missed those penalties. It's really saddening, isn't it? That even at this time in 2021, where things like that shouldn't be happening, even to like a larger group like Raheem Sterling or Sancho, the kind of backgrounds they come from and how much they help within the community. It's always sad to see how they still receive racial abuse. So it's not just from the Asian community, but also people from the other communities are facing these kind of difficulties too.
Yeah, it's terrible. I think you look at who got abused. Marcus Rashford got abused, and he's done a lot for the country. I think with lockdown and the school meals and stuff like that, and people's racially abusing him, and I think it's unacceptable. I mean, racial abuse, like you said, is unacceptable in society, and I think on a football pitch it was shocking. I mean, the three boys stepping up, they didn't want to miss, and unfortunately they did, and England lost. But you can't really put it down to just them missing the penalties. I mean, I'm sure the 120 minutes that they played beforehand had a hand in that as well. So, but you could tell as soon as three people missed them, and you knew that we knew they were black footballers. You knew that they were going to get abused. You could just see it from a mile away, because that's what some people like. And I think these social media accounts need to verify people by passport or a driver's license, so you know exactly where they are, where they're from, and I think that would cut out a lot of it, because people are getting sacked from jobs because they're coming online writing silly things.
And if there's one way we can tackle it, or I'm sure there will be different ways that we can tackle it. If there's any suggestions that you guys want to give, how can we start a campaign or some kind of initiative where we can be like, okay, we know what's happened. How can we make sure that this doesn't happen in the future, or even try to avoid these kind of things happening?
I think, like I said, with the social media thing, I think the social media is a big thing. I think it starts from there, because anyone can sit behind a keyboard and type whatever they want. So I think verifying accounts is a big thing. And I think once social media platforms get a hand of that, then you'll see less and less of it, and you hear less and less of it. But until that's did, then nothing will get done. In my opinion, I don't think it'll change until it's done.
I mean, that's what the social media platforms can do. But what can we as people do about it? Maybe talk to our friends who come from different backgrounds. Maybe educate them about who we are, or something like that, where we personally can make a difference every day.
I think it starts from a young age. I think maybe education workshops in schools, colleges, and things like that, and maybe even at football games, if there's some sort of education program put on, you can maybe select a group of people and take them and educate them about racism and different cultures, because I think it's lost upon nowadays, and I think that's something that people need to try and remember again, and people need to be educated about. So especially from a young age, I think different campaigns and different mentoring schemes and different workshops should be put on in schools and things like that. And from a young age, people should be informed, because I think if you can nil it in the bud when they're young, then I think I think you can go far from there.
This is why it's important with the work that you guys do. Setting that kind of example and make sure that schools are doing their part and you guys are doing your part too. So quickly, before we finish off, there's one important question I want to ask you guys. Where do you guys see yourself in a few years' time? Where would you like to be?
I would like to still be running our business and being really successful up here. I would like to have branched out as well to areas where there's a lot more Sikh children as well. Maybe like Birmingham, somewhere down there like that, and doing coaching schools down there as well. I think it'd be great. But also we see ourselves, endorsing things, sportswear companies, endorsing some equipment that they come out with, or and having our face on there, because I think it's important. I think if we get on there, then it gives Asians around the world and Asians in this country especially a chance to think, well, they can do it, well, we can do it as well. And like I said, I think we've got a unique selling point with us being twins. So that's where I would like to see us in 5 years.
And also, you both are good-looking twins as well, and you both are happily married with kids too. So congratulations to you both. One quick question: would you encourage them to play football as well, or maybe a different profession?
No, I think you've got to encourage. Yeah, definitely, but we want to encourage to play football if they want. Encourage them to play sport and be active. But whatever they want to do, we'll support them. I think that's one thing you always look at with your children. Whatever they want to do, you'll support them into it. And if they want to go into sport and play, then brilliant.
And that's the type of mindset we should all have. And that's the type of mindset we should all have. As parents, we need to encourage our children to become the best what they want and whatever they want to do in life. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and coming and joining in the show. These are the amazing twins who have set history at Wembley. Thank you very much, guys, and we wish you guys a lovely rest of the year. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
What's the first step towards victory? Failure. You fail.
Come on, keep going.
You learn. So you can win when it really matters.
ਕੇਵਾ ਲਾਇਨ ਐਂਡ ਕੋ ਸਲਿਸਟਰਸ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਯੂਕੇ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਲਾਅ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਾਹਿਰ ਹਨ, ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹਰ ਇੱਕ ਇਮੀਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਮਸਲੇ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਯੂਕੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਗੈਰ ਕਾਨੂੰਨੀ ਰਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ, ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਅਧਿਕਾਰਾਂ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਮਸਲੇ ਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਵਰਕ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ, ਸਟੂਡੈਂਟ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ, ਚਾਈਲਡ ਬੇਸ ਐਪਲੀਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨੀ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ, ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਮਾਹਿਰ ਵਕੀਲ ਅਤੇ ਬੈਰਿਸਟਰਸ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਹਨ। ਸਿੱਖ ਚੈਨਲ ਦੇ ਦਰਸ਼ਕਾਂ ਲਈ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਸਲਾਹ ਮੁਫਤ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਏਗੀ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਦਫ਼ਤਰ ਸਕਰੀਨ ਉੱਪਰ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਨੰਬਰਾਂ ਤੇ ਸੰਪਰਕ ਕਰੋ।
ਸਾਊਥ ਹਾਲ ਦੇ ਦਿਲ ਵਿੱਚ ਪਾਰਕ ਐਵੇਨਿਊ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਮੋਰ ਫੂਡਸ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਜੀ ਆਇਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਮੋਰ ਫੂਡਸ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਟਾ, ਦਾਲ, ਚਾਵਲ, ਫਲ, ਸਬਜ਼ੀਆਂ, ਘਿਓ, ਤੇਲ, ਪਨੀਰ, 25,000 ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਅਲੱਗ-ਅਲੱਗ ਪ੍ਰੋਡਕਟਸ। ਮੋਰ ਫੂਡਸ, ਮੋਰ ਡਿਸਕਾਊਂਟ ਐਟ 100 ਸਾਊਥ ਰੋਡ, ਸਾਊਥ ਹਾਲ।
Give it to see. How have you been? Welcome to the Kieran Rise show. And वैसे तो हर week ਅਸੀਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ topic ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਈ ਦੀ ਹੈ। Today's topic is a really interesting one. ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਜੋ topic ਹੈ, ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ, it's about men's emotions. ਤਾਂ ਅਕਸਰ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਆ ਕਿ in our community and for generations and generations ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਹੈਗੀ about men's emotions. It's never heard of, it's never spoken about, and it's always kind of brushed under the carpet. So today we are talking about men's emotions because it's something it's something that really needs to be talked about. It's something that really needs to be heard about, because throughout this pandemic, a lot of people, have been facing ups and downs, and and it's been really, really tough and hard for everyone. So now, jidda sara kuch khulli janda hai, it's still kind of playing those emotions in the background, and I think that's really important. So today we have got our lovely guest called Proudest. Proudest, thank you for joining the show today. How are you? Are you okay?
Firstly, thank you for having me on. I'm doing amazing, thank you, and I hope you're well too.
Good. So today's topic about men's emotions. We're going to dive straight into it. And talking about men's emotions, there's a lot of different areas, where men's emotions kind of start from. Whether that's from anxiety, depression, ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜੇ ਕੋਈ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਦਿਲ ਟੁੱਟਿਆ ਹੋਵੇ, ਹਾਰਟ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੋਵੇ, ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਜਾਂ ਕੋਈ ਰਿਸ਼ਤਾ ਟੁੱਟਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਨਿੱਕੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਗੱਲ ਤੋਂ ਵੈਸੇ ਤਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀ ਦੀ ਆ, ਬੰਦੇ they don't really talk about emotions, they don't talk about their feelings, and ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, they kind of keep it to themselves. So Why is that? Like, why does that happen?
It's hard to pinpoint exactly where that is, but there is a lot of factors that I think come into play. So, for example, as men, we've been raised in a particular way. Like the idea of a man is completely different. So, the reason as men we find it hard is because society has put this norm of what the idea of a alpha male, and as males, we always try to aspire to be that alpha male. So, because of that, a lot of men do find it very, very hard to kind of portray their emotions into the world because it's the fear of judgment, what other people are going to think. It's how your friend circle is going to start perceiving you, and you just don't want to be the center of talking point amongst a peer group, let's just say. So with men, it's a lot about, in Punjabi we call it the word izzat, and it just comes down to predominantly just a pride and an ego thing that you just don't want to be the center of the talking point. So I think most of it just comes down to that. But we'll go more briefly and deeply into that later.
And in terms of guys themselves, when they go through a heartbreak, what happens? How do they kind of go through it or process it? What really happens when that happens? Because it's easy for girls, for us girls, when for women, if anything bad happens or anything like that, we kind of cry it out. We kind of tell everyone about it, and it's one way or another, it's harder to begin with. Harder, and by time heals, and time is the biggest healer, and things get better. But we don't really see guys talking about their emotions. We don't really see guys talking about their feelings, especially so what really happens when when a guy goes through a heartbreak or their rishta breaks or anything like that? What happens?
Yeah, that's actually a really, really tough one. As guys, we do have emotions, but we always put up a face, like a very strong face, like, oh, trust me, it doesn't affect us. So we deal with stuff maybe there and then. Some of us will deal it with there and then. Some of us actually deal with it a lot later down the line when we actually realize what's happened, because the first stage is always denial. Like, oh, do you know what? I'm strong in this. I can get past it. So for me, I think with the friend circle that I have, I think I'm going to break it down to there are probably like 5 different types of men that I've come across, basically, if I was to subjectively categorize them. So firstly, you've got the men that are in touch with their feminine side. So they do show their emotions. They wear their they wear their emotions on their sleeve, so you can kind of see exactly what's going through their minds. Then there are the guys, and to be honest, they're okay with that. They're okay with who they are. So then there are guys that are emotional. They have a lot of emotions, but they don't want to show that to everyone. So, for example, it comes down to the idea of how is the other people going to perceive me. I don't want to look like I'm the one that's I don't know the term for it, but it's like you don't want to be the pussy in the group, basically. You don't want to be the one that's ridiculed about. And then there are guys that act all alpha, but really and truly are softies on the inside. And then you got the alpha male, which it feels like nothing really phases them. And the fifth kind, I would just say, are spiritual men. So each one of these men will deal with it differently. So it depends on what type of person you are and what type of man you have been raised to be. Because what we don't understand is that there is conscious programming and unconscious programming. So, for example, in the business world, it is taught that the reason a lot of people that are poor stay poor is because of the unconscious programming, because they just don't know how to deal with certain things. Whereas someone that's come from a rich background, it's a lot more easier for them to make decisions, because even though, let's just say, they haven't really learned the stuff, but for them, it's a lot more easier to make those decisions, to take the risk, because subconsciously it's always been programmed within them. So in the same way, it depends on your family circle. So what did your parents kind of teach you from the get-go? And unfortunately, if you look at society as a whole, as a parent, you tend to spend like 1 hour with your child in the morning and during breakfast, and probably like an hour at nighttime. And then all of that programming is done by school system, friend circle, movies, music, and TV shows especially. So if you grew up with the idea of watching, like, let's just say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, which was quite a popular TV show, if you look at the idea of a man there and that's deemed as cool, what was he? Essentially, he's a player. He just had multiple relationships and that's deemed okay. So it's like, oh, you know what? Consciously, we're programmed to think, oh, you know what? It's okay for me to have multiple kind of relationships and go for it. It's just a part of life. Then you can look at music, how music portrays females, how it portrays relationship, and that has a very negative effect on us as well. So we think it's okay. So do you know what? It's not so much of a denial thing. It's more like consciously we've been programmed to think that, oh, you know what? Breakups, it's just a part of life. Get on, move on to the next. But that's why, as a man, you don't really keep in touch with that emotional side, because you know what? It's just a part of life. So depending on what category of a man you